Lost the connection for a second. So this video is going to be presented in two chunks, but that's okay. Anyways, just saying that Mr. Barris is someone they can trust. Like, it's okay for him to know about the competition and he won't go and tell anyone else. So that's kind of cool. Marco writes a toppling pile of boxes while he considers the matter. All right, he says, though I must admit, Mr. Barris, I am surprised at how accepting you are of all this. Mr. Barris chuckles in response. I admit that of the lot of us, I seem the least likely, he says. The world is a more interesting place than I had ever imagined when I came to that first midnight dinner. Is that because Miss Bowen can animate a solid wooden creature on a carousel? Or because you could manipulate my memory? Or because the circus itself pushed the boundaries of what I dreamed was possible, even before I entertained the thought of actual magic? I cannot say, but I would not trade it for anything. Okay, so the reason he's willing to be quiet and help them both is because he thinks it's just so amazing. He says the circus is so magical and he loves it and he doesn't want to lose like his place in it. And you would keep my identity from Miss Bowen? I shall not tell her, Mr. Barris says. You have my word. In that case, Marco says, I would appreciate your assistance with something. Okay, so he's now going to have Mr. Barris help him with his own tent. Celia had Mr. Barris help her with the carousel. So now Marco says, okay, my turn. Help me with something. When the letter arrives, Mr. Barris fears for a moment that Miss Bowen will be upset with the turn of events, or inquire as to who her opponent is, as she will have easily figured out that he is now aware of the fact himself. But when he opens the envelope, the enclosed note reads only, May I make additions to it? He writes back to inform her that it has been specifically designed to be manipulated by either side, so she may add whatever she wishes. Okay, the thing they're talking about is, I think they call it the labyrinth. And basically, the labyrinth is going to be one attraction that's like modified by both Celia and Marco. So Celia will modify a room and it'll be really amazing. And then Marco will respond to that by building another room within the same main attraction. It's actually really cool. I kind of like, I guess if I had to put a way to put it, this is like the first time that they're communicating with each other through making these rooms, like in response to each other's rooms. So I think it's kind of like they're writing each other notes through these rooms that they're creating. Pretty cool. This is like when they first start to develop a friendship or kind of like get to know each other's personality through making all these different rooms in the labyrinth. So here's Celia. She's walking through the labyrinth right now. Says Celia walks through a hallway full of snow, sparkling flakes of it catching in her hair and clinging to the hem of her gown. She holds out her hand, smiling as the crystals dissolve over her skin. The hall is lined with doors, and she chooses the one at the very end, trailing a melting breath of snow behind her as she walks into a room where she must duck to avoid colliding with the cascade of books suspended from the ceiling, pages tumbling open in frozen waves. Are you going out? Sorry, guys, my kids are here and they're coming and going, so it's kind of distracting. Okay, so she reaches a hand out to brush over the paper, the entire room swaying gently. Hang on. Oh, yes. Okay. This room, I wish I had a room like this in my home because it is a room where there are just books everywhere, like on the walls, suspended from the ceilings, and the waves just kind of like open, like whenever like any kind of breeze comes through, all the pages to the books are blowing, and it just sounds magical. She reaches a hand out to brush over the paper, the entire room swaying gently as the motion passes from page to page. It takes her quite a while to locate another door, hidden in a shadowed corner, and she laughs when her boots sink into the powder soft sand that fills the room beyond. Okay, so you can see how this particular tent is really cool because when you go from one room to the next, it's so different. Like one room was all snow, then there was another room that was all books, and then she now is in this room that is all sand. And so this is all within the same attraction. It's pretty cool. Let's see. Celia stands on a shimmering white desert with a sparkling night sky stretching in every direction. The sense of space is so vast that she must put her hand out in front of her to find the wall hidden in the stars, and it is still a surprise when her fingers hit the solid surface. She feels her way around the star-speckled walls, searching the perimeter for another way out. This is abhorrent, her father's voice says, though she cannot see him in the dim light. You are meant to be working separately, not in this debauched juxtaposition. I have warned you about collaborating. It is not the proper way to exhibit your skills. Celia sighs. I think it's quite clever, she says. What better way to compete than within the same tent? And you cannot rightfully call it a collaboration. How can I collaborate with someone whose identity I don't even know? She only catches a glimpse of his face as he glares at her, and then she turns away, returning her attention to the wall. Which is superior, then, she asks, a room full of trees or a room filled with sand? Do you even know which ones are mine? This is getting tiring, Papa. My opponent clearly possesses comparable skills. How will you ever determine a winner? That is not your concern, her father's voice hisses, closer to her ear than she would like. You are a disappointment. I expected better from you. You need to do more. Doing more is exhausting, Celia protests. I can only control so much. It's not enough, her father says. When will it be enough? Celia asks, but there is no reply, and she stands alone amongst the stars. She sinks to the ground, picking up a handful of pearl white sand and letting it fall slowly through her fingers. Alone in his flat, Marco constructs tiny rooms from scraps of paper, hallways and doors crafted from pages of books and bits of blueprints, pieces of wallpaper and fragments of letters. He composes chambers that lead into others that Celia has created, stairs that wind around her halls, leaving spaces open for her to respond. Okay, so Dad obviously is not approving. He doesn't like that Celia and Marco are like communicating with each other through these rooms. All right, so that's it for collaborations.